On the 29th of June 2009, Vampires released our debut album, A Dark Desire. Quite ambitiously for a debut album, we decided to make it a concept album, just to make things harder for ourselves. So the whole album takes you through a story from the first track through to the last track. There are lots of different mythologies, legends, and a bit of local history as well, all mashed together to tell this fictitious story, just using some of the kind of themes and names from history and fiction to put the story together. The album starts off during the witch trials. Our unlikely protagonist is a wealthy European count named Mitterhouse. He is away visiting his homeland. He returns back and finds out his beloved Temperance Lloyd has been murdered for being a witch in Bideford, in what's known as the Bideford Witch Trials. There are 3 witches that were hanged, and we decided to take one of them with the most interesting name, to be honest. That's the only reason we chose Temperance Lloyd, and to use her as the love interest of our main character. He delves into the dark arts to try and find a way to bring her back. He summons a demon, which we call Mephisto, as a reference to the Faust tale. The Count claims he'd do anything to see her again, and therefore he offers the devil Mephisto his soul. With that pact sealed, the Count goes to the woods where he first met Temperance, and there she is coming through the mist. They spend one final time together. During their time together, the Count is bitten on the neck by Temperance, who is revealed to be Mephisto in disguise. He's come to claim his prize of the Count's soul. Having lost everything, the Count wanders into the wilderness and becomes a beast. He's got a bloodlust, so he just goes off and feeds on all the wildlife for a long time. It's kind of his wilderness years. And he just becomes self-loathing, low creature. So over the years he becomes weaker and weaker despite being immortal. His bloodlust isn't giving him back his strength as much as it once was. When the Count finally returns to humanity, he finds himself in Victorian London, where everything has changed. In our story, he takes the place of a Jack the Ripper kind of character, killing off all these people. But unlike Jack the Ripper, who preyed on the poor, this version of the character is preying on the opulent. The Count is so affronted by the massing of power and wealth and the poor getting poorer that he takes out his anger and his frustrations on those people. At this point, the Count decides it would be a much better plan to seek out the bloodline of those who killed Temperance in the first place, where all this curse came upon him, and see if he wipes out all of that bloodline. Maybe then he'll be free, maybe then he can get some rest, maybe the bloodlust will be satiated. Over hundreds and hundreds of years, the Count has been slowly wiping out every single relation of the bloodline which was responsible for Temperance's death. And finally he kills the last one, but nothing changes. He's still an immortal vampire creature. He doesn't feel any less disgusted or angry. He goes into a long hibernation period on the high seas with his slaves, occasionally feeding him lost sailors and things like that to keep his strength up when he comes out of his sleep cycles. Somewhere along the line, humanity is completely wiped out. When the Count wakes up, he's hungry, he's weak, but he can't die. He's left to wander alone on this post-apocalyptic, empty world. The Count starts to go even more insane than he already has been. The guilt of what he has done over all the thousands and thousands of years at this point weighs heavily on the Count. In the distant, distant future, our planet is just ripped apart by the sun dying, or any of the other variations on how the Earth would end. Take your pick of what you think would have happened. And the Count is finally ripped apart along with the rest of the planet, and there is nothing left, just an empty void in space where our planet used to be. But somehow, because he's immortal, the Count just lingers on as a presence in space, just haunting nothingness, just this angry force. By the end of the album, the Count is the last thing in existence. All of the universe is slowly faded out, got no more energy to exist. Every particle, everything in existence has been pulled so far apart that there's just a great stillness across everything and nothing, which now is the universe. The only thing that is holding everything together is this heavy, evil presence of the Count. He's literally the only thing left in the universe, and his bitterness and his spite and his hatred is all there is. the Count finally hears Temperance's voice, and he is able to let go of all the hatred. The Count realizes that he was just as bad, actually a lot worse than the people that killed Temperance. They had wrongly killed her for something she didn't do, and he went on a rampage throughout time, killing all these people. He finally learns his lesson that this was not the way to go about things, and his anger dissipates. The Count is free. He just stops existing along with everything else, and finally the universe can rest. It's a nice jolly ending to an album, I'd say.